Not a security guard or anything, but I live in a haunted house. Getting used to it for sure. Been here for almost exactly a year now, and something wild, but not really documentable, occurs once a month at least. Wife had an invisible dog run around the house and jump on her at night. I had gigantic person walk up to the bed and then stand on it. Never have had sleep paralysis, haven't had any dreams like that before or since, therefore I cannot grant it that prosaic explanation with certainty. I just held my eyes shut until it stopped. Have had several instances of loud footsteps clearly walking through the house. It's an old building, so this one is most likely to have a prosaic explanation, but the only issue is that we are deeply familiar with all of the sounds that occur here, and none of them sound like one heavy footsteps. The roof creaks, the floor is solid. The most likely to be explainable is that one time the toilet flushed on its own. Definitely not 100% that was anything paranormal in particular, but it was odd. We've both heard each other's voices when we weren't here, and just this morning my wife heard my voice / a male voice right outside of the house when I was 40 feet away starting her car to warm it up, silently. There's a corner that our dog is terrified of, again, likely prosaic but still odd. Our friends have all seen things here. One friend saw a gigantic gray thing outside of our front door. Other friends saw a person walk into our bathroom and close it at night, and they were certain it wasn't me or my wife. I think it's my town. Can't disclose it because it's too small, but when I was young I witnessed one intense high strangeness event, and someone close to me who lived here was abducted by aliens in the 90s. This person has no reason to lie about this, no history of any distress-induced hallucinations or anything that could explain their certainty other than that something strange simply did occur. They also encountered MIB and had a standoff with guns when they were followed out of the city they worked in. Frankly, that event could probably be explained by the fact that they were on the early internet attempting to acquire a rocket launcher in order to try shooting down the UFOs that were constantly hovering over their yard. Probably some G-men trailing them to figure out whether they wanted illegal weapons so badly. They did some investigating into the phenomenon and stopped after getting trailed / having guns drawn on them, and also after a private investigator that a woman they were helping with regards to alien incursions had hired was found murdered inexplicably in that woman's backyard. They did find quite a bit of evidence that what they experienced was not limited to unreliable accounts, just that most people keep quiet about it because of how difficult these kinds of phenomena are to explain without sounding crazy. I screamed and heard my brother jump out of his bed, his door flying open. The dog looked that way and wheeled around into the storage room. Almost out of sight. My brother came into my room and the dog backed out of sight. I had my brother check the room, but he found nothing. Fast forward almost a decade, and a friend and I were out hunting coyotes in the neighbor's property. My buddy and I ate chatting. It was a slow day. Suddenly my friend's face goes white. He is super focused on the woods on the hill across from us, about 300 or so yards off. He slowly pulled his scope up and swallowed hard. I asked what was up, and he asked, "Ever seen an all-black coyote?" I said, "Sure, but only on the internet. This one's different. I don't know, man. It's like he's staring in my eyes through the scope." I kind of chuckled. "Whatever, dude, let's check this guy out," I said, pulling up my scope. My heart skipped a beat. I couldn't believe it. It was the dog, and he was staring at us. The moment I found him in the scope, he sat and stared. I can't explain it, but it felt so wrong. Then he just walked off. We thought about leaving, but were too intrigued. I told my friend about what happened all those years ago. As a kid, I assumed it was a dog. Now, I screamed and heard my brother jump out of his bed, his door flying open. The dog looked that way, and as it got dark, we made the long trek back through the snow. As we were walking, my friend said, "What the?" There, up ahead, sat the black dog. We named him that after the movie. Later I'd learned the history of the black dog online. Had we known, we wouldn't have been so careless. We shined a light on him, and his eyes, they didn't glow. They should have glowed. He stood up, stared at us, and slowly walked off. He was kind of always around. He would show his face from time to time. Bad stuff would always happen, accidents, injuries, and even deaths. I wish I was making this up. I swear I'm not. It's been experienced by a few others with me. The last experience was 2020, and I now live almost 30-minute drive from where I had last seen the black dog years before. I'm driving home from work on third shift. I'm tired, and work was stressful. I had been hit by a truck and hurt pretty badly about 2 weeks before, was involved in a separate car accident, and my grandfather was dying slowly. I was thinking about it all, and I got that all too familiar chill. How could I be being watched in a moving vehicle? I looked into the field beside the road, and there he was, running. This made my heart damn near stop. The black dog legend is that truckers would see the dog and death would normally follow. Later that day, I was advised of my grandfather passing away around the time I saw the dog. That cemented it in my mind that this was real. I always made excuses for the things I saw and experienced. The people around me when these things happened did not take it so lightly. May not the creepiest thing I've seen, but definitely the oddest. Odd and scary enough to one friend that he will never return to my parents' home. Who knows, there is probably still an explanation. I was 18 and basically worked full-time from 4 p.m. to 11 p.m. 5 days a week, so I was routinely awake for most of the night and would sleep most of the day. I say this to point out that my being awake at 3 a.m. was normal for me, and I wasn't deliriously tired. I was still living at home, so I slept in my childhood bed, which was a loft bed. It was high enough off the ground that I could touch the ceiling with my feet if I wanted to. I also would keep my blinds open when I went to bed so that the sunlight would wake me up after I had enough sleep. The moon must have been pretty full or bright that night because my room was illuminated by moonlight. It was easy to see with no lights on. Okay, with all that out of the way, it's 3 a.m. or thereabouts, and I decided I was going to go to sleep. I climbed the ladder into bed and lay down on my back. That's when I see it. There's a swirling black mass like 3 feet above my face. It's maybe 4 feet long and 2.5 to 3 feet wide. I did not see this when I climbed into bed or when I was in the process of laying down. This black mist slowly swirls in place, kind of like it keeps its form on the outside, but the inside is swirling lazily about. I squeeze my eyes shut for a few seconds and open them back up. It's still there. I feel like I can barely breathe. I'm so stunned. What the hell is happening? I squeeze my eyes shut again and turn my head to look across the room and open my eyes. Everything looked normal in the rest of my room. I turn my head back to the ceiling. It's still there. Still swirling gently. No clue what came over me, but I decided I was going to reach into the mist. It clearly wasn't going anywhere because at this point I'd been looking at it for at least a solid terrifying minute or two. I slowly reach a hand up to the black mass. I am completely taken aback because while I can't really see if I'm reaching into it, I can immediately tell when I touched it. Not only did the mist start to get agitatedly done swirl faster, still staying in place, but my fingertips that touched the mist tingled. Tingled like when you touch your tongue to a 9-volt battery. I yanked my hand back down and looked away. However, as quickly as that all happened, I decided I must have not seen or felt what I thought I did. I looked back up. The mass was back to gently swirling around. Ah shit, I have to touch it again because I'm already doubting myself. Same thing happens as I reached up and I yanked my hand back down. As soon as my fingertips leave the mist, it went back to its gentle swirling. And again, I'm like, well, certainly that didn't actually happen, so I do it again, but this time I reach further into the black mist. I can tell how far my hand goes and by how far down the tingling goes. Now I'm definitely sure I'm experiencing what I think I am. I even pinched myself just to make sure I'm awake. It was not going away and I'm really freaked out at this point. So I say out loud, okay, I'm pretty scared. I'm going to roll over and try to go to sleep now, and I rolled over and pulled my blanket up over my shoulder. A few seconds later, a weight settles next to me on the bed, which slides the blanket off my shoulder while I am not moving. I feel love and comfort emanating from it. I'm still freaked out, but I understand it doesn't want to scare or hurt me, so I am eventually able to calm down enough to fall asleep. I'm 36 now, and that's still the wildest paranormal thing to happen to me. There's something up with that house, though. My family still lives there, and I occasionally experience shit when I stay over. It was new construction when we moved in, so I don't know what's going on, but I've seen a hat man. There's something seriously wrong with the stairs that makes my hair stand on end on them. I've heard footsteps, voices, seen shadows moving quickly out of the corner of my eye. I've only lived in one other house where creepy shit happened, but it was not even on the same level as my parents' house. My brothers are much younger than me and still live at home, and I follow one of them on Tumblr. He posted when he was 14-ish about how you gotta love when you hear footsteps in the house, but then remember you're home alone. So I talked to him about it. His room is my old room. He sees and hears stuff regularly. He also told me how bad the stairs make him feel before I said anything to him about it. I finally felt like I wasn't losing my mind.